Hi, this is Mitchell Levy, and welcome to episode 86 of Thought Leader Life. I'm really excited for the month. We've got Paula Chiocchi, who is the founder and the B2B email marketing diva at Outward Media. And we're talking about nothing less than the successful moving forward of email. And Paula, great to have you for the month.
Thank you, Mitchell. Happy to be here.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm really looking forward to the level of conversation because it's an interesting tie between thought leadership and email marketing and what you do there. And so I want to introduce our guest. We have Linda West, who's the group manager of demand generation at Acton. Linda, great to have you.
Good to be here.
Oh, good. And we also have Rachel Rosin, who's the marketing programs manager of demand gen at Acton. Rachel, great to have the two of you with us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
Super cool. So, you know, the softball question I just want to throw up is, I often hear as I'm talking to CEOs and I'm in the C-suite, I'm often hearing people say, "Hey, social media is in, email marketing is dead. I don't know why anyone would want to pay attention to this anymore." And obviously we know this is not true, but what's your take on that statement?
I would say that it is true to a certain extent. Email marketing as we knew it is dead, but email marketing generally is absolutely not dead. It has changed, it has evolved, it is new, it is different, but it's not dead.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that. I think definitely it's not dead. It's just the tactics are changed now, and also the measurements for success have also changed as well. So it's not so much about email itself being dead, but just kind of shifting our focus and focusing on different things for email.
How have you seen the measurements for success change?
I think we've moved away from, before it was very, very common to focus on your open rates. What are the open rates of your emails? And now I think that the most important measurement of success is your click-through rates. How are you engaging with the different emails that you're sending out? What are they clicking on? Are they taking that extra step? Because now it's not so much about just getting your message out, it's about getting people to engage with it.
Yeah, and even further to that, it's like instead of focusing on these vanity metrics like open rates, it's now how many leads are you generating from your email programs and how many deals are you closing on the back of that, and how is email influencing the complex sale, and how is email influencing that buyer's journey that's probably longer than it takes to read one email. So email is being used in a really unique way. So, again, it's moving beyond those vanity metrics and looking at deeper things like tying email to won deals and tying email to lead generation and click-through rates and engagement.
Do you see your clients trying to use email also with the social media channels now? Because everybody thinks that's like the new big thing in social media.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, honestly, when you move beyond just trying to get people to engage in that channel, and you move into this mindset that there's this larger world for you to play in. I've seen campaigns that encourage as their call to action, not buy now, but hey, tweet this. Let's get you engaged with this conversation.
Okay. Wow, that's cool. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool tools out there that you can use, like Click to Tweet is a great one. We've used that quite a bit in our own programs. Yeah. And so there's really interesting ways that you can just use email to help people engage with your brand across channels. It doesn't have to just be, hey, here's email, interact with email.
Yeah, I think it's very common now, especially if you're promoting, a white paper or a blog post or anything. It's very easy to do a quick to tweet function, and you have a message ready to go with a link to that asset, and your viewers can go ahead and share it automatically. So I think that's definitely a great way to help boost that engagement that we were talking about.
Absolutely. And I think the thing that brings it up really is that you're able as a marketer with all this technology available to you, like marketing automation and analytics and tracking information. You are not just tied to what did this person do in the email. You can track every single behavior that person takes in every channel that you're promoting in. So you're not tied to the metrics within that channel.
So it's hard to kind of do the attribution because it kind of goes across all the channels. But we see email as a driver to get to that attribution.
Yeah.
What do you think about when we first started in the email business? Like I mentioned to you guys offline in 2004, we saw open rates. Our open rates averaged from like 6% to all the way up to 30% sometimes. Now they've kind of settled back. I don't want to say as low as what typical industrial direct mail is, but what do you all do to help your clients get the open rates up?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many methods. It's all about engagement. It's all about understanding your audience. It's all about sending the right message at the right time to the person that you're trying to reach. So it's beyond just like technically what's in your email or technically how is it delivered. It's really about who are you talking to and what are they interested in hearing at that point in time. Are they a late stage buyer who's about to make a purchase from you, or have they never heard of your brand before? And those two different types of people want different things inherently. So it's really more about understanding your audience more than anything else.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, the different types of messages also have different open rates. I was looking at some stats prior to this, hopping onto this conversation, and I was seeing from eMarketer that triggered emails actually have higher open rates than just your normal standoff or standalone emails. Just be quick, it's right after they've taken that action. So I think it's just, you know, different types of messages have different results.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, so in the buyer's journey, if the buyer's actually doing something that will encourage them to get an email response, so a couple of things has to happen. A, you need to be able to give the email response immediately, right? Not within a couple hours or within a day. Two, if they actually respond back to that, you want to respond again, right? So the interesting part is, and what I'm hearing you say, and maybe there's a underlying tone, you keep focusing and referencing know your audience and understand the buyer's journey. Right, and so what that means is you don't care. It's not about yourself. It's not about your company. It's not about what you say. It's all about how you say it in such a way that your prospective buyer. Now, I call them a future advocate, but your future advocate and current advocates are excited about who you are and dealing with you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good way to put it. It's like a relationship. You can't go on a date and ask somebody to go on vacation with you and marry you on the first date. It's just not an approach. But if you develop a long-term relationship and understand the person and communicate things at the right time, it's all going to work. And eventually that person is going to love you and maybe marry you and say yes. But it's a long process, and you have to be, you know, conscientious of that other person and your own value and all those good things.
And I agree with that, because I think the B2B close cycle has gone from what used to be like 3 to 6 months to anywhere now 6 to 8 months, even a year now. So it's about nurturing them along the journey. I agree with you.
Absolutely. And even beyond that first purchase, it's like you said, those future promoters. Like, how are you engaging your current customer base as well with email to adopt more features within your product, or to use your product, to love your product more, to promote it, to share it with their colleagues or their friends?
Click to tweet.
Yes, click to tweet.
I like that.
I see a lot. It's interesting to me. I see a lot of the fundamentals of success today. Many people are talking about their actual their mailing list. You know, the long-term mailing list they have. Even if you look at Jeff Walker and Launch, what he's really talking about is over time building a good mailing list that you can then continue to launch new products over time, and over a longer period of time you may actually end up with something that will be super successful. And then, so Paula and I were talking before, and one of the things we were thinking about for you guys, we're thinking about responsiveness, and how do you create the type of email messages and approach that will generate how do you increase the responsiveness of those that you're reaching? Obviously, you need to know who they are, but what's some of the tricks and techniques you guys use?
Well, one, ironically, is responsive design. Responsive design is technically an HTML email that's delivered that will actually change its format based on the device that the viewer is using. So mobile opens for email account for, I think, now over 50% of all emails are opened on mobile devices.
Yeah.
So if the person that's receiving the email can't read it and interact with it efficiently because they're on a mobile phone, then you've already lost the battle. So responsive design is one new way that's emerging that some marketers are starting to adopt to make sure they're hitting people in all the places where they're going to be interacting with the email. The emergence of mobile is huge, and it's impacted the email channel probably the quickest. And there's more traffic from mobile devices into the email channel, I think, than most other channels at this point.
And probably just going to get bigger because the millennial generation, that's where they're living, on the mobile device. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead.
People spend more time on their mobile phone now than they do watching TV, than they do at their desktop computer. It is the dominant location for media consumption.
And I think I saw recently the figure for the millennial buyers for B2B is approaching, I think, somewhere between 40 and 50%. It was just 20% about a year ago. So, you know, that is where they're living, as I said earlier, on that phone. So, what do you all think about the future? I've been reading about video and email coming on. What do you all think about video and email? Are you already testing that with your clients?
Yeah.
I think video is a great way to kind of stand out from the crowd, just because you have this constant barrage of emails that are hitting everybody's inbox daily, hundreds of emails. So it's really a good way to kind of stand out. There are just some technical considerations for that now, though, because it is new and there aren't a lot of, not every email service provider will support video within the email. So you just kind of have to be careful in the way that you're positioning those and who you're sending it to, and make sure that the image itself as a standalone will work as well without that video in case it doesn't.
Yeah. There's some clever ways around that too, like animated GIFs is another way to just create action in your email. We do that a lot in our emails, and it's really effective for just drawing attention to your messages.
Yeah, we did a head-to-head test, and we had an A/B test, so one email with a static banner, one email with an animated banner, and there was more click-throughs and more engagement on the animated banner.
And how big? How many for the animated GIF in the banner? How many images behind it? How easy? I mean, how easy was that to create? And what did it show versus this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really easy to create. There are some free resources online. It was something, I learned how to do it in an afternoon using Photoshop. So there are tutorials out there that are very easy to kind of find your way and figure it out. And, it doesn't have to be something that's incredibly complicated. It's just, adding some element of movement that kind of draws your eye and really captures the attention of whoever's viewing the message.
It adds the cool factor to your message.
Yeah.
Adds a cool factor without you having to go get an agency to create it for you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you think that we should know about that's up and coming for email? What are you guys sensing in the offing?
Well, I think there's a lot of interesting programmatic components of email, like lead nurturing is becoming more and more important and more integral to a lot of businesses, especially those, again, that have longer sales cycles. So that's huge. And just kind of understanding, your buyer's journey and being able to set up, trigger messages and lead nurturers that really mirror that journey and help people along. It's about really educating and engaging buyers versus the hard sell. And that is true, I think, across all of marketing now, but especially true in email.
Do you see any integration between online display and email marketing? Do you have any clients doing that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. We're actually working on a program this week. There's a lot of cool functionality out there where you can mirror emails on ad networks, where you can, BCC an outbound email from a sales rep, and it'll go across all different ad networks. So there's really cool stuff that's coming out.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's amazing what's happening now. I mean, it really points to this larger picture of the marketing technology ecosystem, which is growing. I mean, it's incredible the types of technology that are available to marketers now that connect with email and all kinds of other channels. And I think it can get really complicated for marketers, but I think what's really important is to have tools that play well with others, because there's so much cool technology out there. You want to adopt pieces of technology that are going to integrate really well with your other pieces of technology. Because again, email is one channel out of many, and they all have to play nice and interact with each other so that you have good reporting.
And what are some of the pieces? What are some of the pieces of technology that you like? What do you like best? Give me a couple favorites that you like to integrate into what you guys do.
Yeah, so marketing automation, of course, is our backbone. It's the command center.
So actually, you get, for those that are listening versus watching, there's a nice little poster behind you both. That's very cool. It's the marketing automation for the real world. Act on, right? So we know that. Got it.
Yes. So marketing automation is our backbone, and then we have we use video technology. So we have that integrated.
We use social posting. It helps a lot with reporting. Octopost is somebody that we use. It helps you show, talking about metrics changing, converting not just likes, but how does that translate to leads, and being able to track the engagement that they have on social through the funnel as well.
Yeah.
So that's something that we use.
We use a technology called Scratch It as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
They're an email tool. It's basically a system that allows you to create a virtual scratch-off ticket for your email, so you can use it for promotions, to scratch and win, and it's really a cool piece of technology. So we've recently adopted that.
That's pretty cool. I got to try that one. That sounds great.
I just found out about that myself this week. So you guys have already tested it, huh?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, it works well. It's really cool. You transfer over to a landing page, and you just use your mouse and you scratch it off, and there's some sort of offer underneath. And so, yeah, it's it's a great way to have people. We talk about the fear of missing out, the FOMO.
So virtually everybody's curious.
Winning something, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say virtually everybody's curious, so I'd scratch it.
So I want to ask, because we're talking about thought leader life here, I'm a little curious about in your email messages, in your campaigns, what is the differentiation between content that you focus on the product versus content when you focus on the thought leader, either inside or outside your company? That, who do your buyers resonate with more? Do they want to see the product stuff, or do they want to see thought leaders, like I said, both inside and outside the company, who are talking about how best to use the products that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the majority of the content that we produce and that gets really good engagement is content that's about educating our audiences. It's about what's the best practices, what should I be thinking about, how do I approach this strategy. The product is really secondary to that. I mean, we'll talk about the product in the final stages of a buyer's journey, but really it's about building trust with your audience, and that is more valuable than 10 product sheets, So we absolutely focus on thought leadership more than we do on product features and benefits. I mean, that's really thought leadership is really the benefit that the audience gets. It's the why. So that's where the money's at.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, people, yes, they want to figure out what your product is about, but they want to know how they can use it. How is it going to relate to what they do and what their job entails? So I think, yeah, really kind of focusing on providing the best practices for them.
I have to tell you something funny. When I did this was our 86th episode of Thought Leader Life. When I did my first episode, I thought I did a great job, and I show it to my son, 17 years old, so I always get this millennial thing, and he looks at me, he goes, "Dad, when you get really good at this, you're going to not look at yourself in the screen, you're going to look at the camera." I'm like, oh, okay. So then I kept practicing that, right? And so this is the first time, for those that are listening, not watching, this is the first time we actually had two people in the room together, and you guys are doing fabulous. And what's happening though is when you're switching who's talking, I'm finding myself sort of switching from Linda or Rachel on Rachel and Linda. I'm like, and I'm consciously telling myself, okay, can't do that. Got to focus on you guys. So, I just thought I'd add it in because it was a conscious thing. If you're watching my eyes, I'm having a hard time focusing, and it's not good. But I love the conversation, and when we're talking about thought leadership, and you're talking about sharing content, it really is because your buyer needs somebody to relate to. They don't necessarily relate to a company or a product. They relate to a person who's using it. It's the why. It's exactly what you mentioned.
Yeah, they're people at the end of the day. Like, just like I'm a person, Rachel's a person. We're all people. We have challenges. We don't need products. We need a product because we have a challenge. So the challenge comes first. So tackle the challenge first. Explain to them why, why the challenge exists. Help them solve it, and then say, okay, this product is the solution on the back end of that. But that's secondary. So.
Yeah, and I think because the recent information I've seen is that the B2B buyer has done pretty much all the work online up to about 90% before they ever even get to the sales, contact the sales effort to help them with the purchase. Is that what you guys see as well?
Yeah, that's very true.
That's where that nurturing comes in,
exactly.
Staying with them.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, I think in the way that you use the internet. I mean, if I'm looking for something, I go to the internet first and I try to find, and if the first link that I click on isn't what I want, I go on to the second. I mean, you as buyers now and as people with access to information, you kind of control your journey because you have access to everything. You can find what you want and try to answer your own questions so that you can become a little more educated on solving your own problems and then kind of open it up to see suggestions on who can, address the needs most.
Right.
Whole different ballgame than what it used to be.
Yeah.
Right? With the B2B sales rep coming sitting in the office, and in fact, I think I read recently also that in the next 20 years we'll lose about 1 million B2B salespeople because everybody's using the internet.
Very true. It's funny because marketing has kind of taken on that role to a certain extent. Marketing used to be a very fluffy profession. It's about, creatives and branding and those types of things. But now it's very technical. It's very much about, knowing your numbers and measurement and optimization and technology. So it's interesting seeing it evolve. I know that even, my career has kind of been technology focused, but even, 5-10 years ago, what I was doing was just very different. The things that I was focusing on were very different.
Yeah,
what I see interesting in listening to you, maybe you can describe it a little bit more in terms of how to be an effective marketer, is so you're no longer in this standalone entity focused on email marketing and you just, people throw you stuff and you make it happen. But rather, it sounds like, and maybe, like I said, you could explain it, that you have to integrate with the rest of the company and figure out how best to support the buyer journey, and how do you do that? Can you talk a little bit, how do you guys do that effectively?
Yeah, that's key. I mean, marketing is not something that can be done in a silo. There used to be this very clear separation. There's marketing, and they do branding, and they do air cover, and they do ads. And then there's sales, and they sell. But now, marketing is responsible not only for managing the buyer's journey from the time, a customer first hears about a brand through to sale, which requires a lot of alignment with sales, agreement with sales. And we work very closely with our sales team at Acton, trying to understand where buyers are getting stuck in the funnel, creating programs for them, both email programs and other types of programs. And then also, even beyond that, we work really closely with customer success. Because customer success is where you take a customer who's just bought your product and expand that person into being, a loyal repeat buyer who is going to be a promoter for you. So it really requires marketing to lead the charge and be responsible for leading the customer experience throughout time, and that's across sales, across customer success. It's like this trifecta of teams that need to come together, and marketing is the one who typically leads the charge on that, because they're the only ones that understand the psychology of the buyer enough to really lead that journey, and they have the technology infrastructure behind them to enable it as well. So you'll see, now you used to have a lot of sales-led organizations, and now it's evolving to a lot of marketing-led organizations. And so things have certainly shifted quite a bit.
Yeah, marketing integrating with IT, right?
Yeah, well, you sort of gave me this aha moment, because in the past, the person who sat on the C-suite was, the customer advocate who sat on the C-suite actually came from customer service.
Yeah.
Right? And low, even though they were given a C-suite title, they were the low person on the totem pole. They were not funded appropriately, But what you're saying here is that a future advocate, not a customer, or an existing advocate, all needs to be integrated, and that overall customer experience for today, and of course them being a future advocate to share what they're doing with their friends and be able to sell for you, that's really important. It's a new role for marketers. I really like it's an interesting aha moment. I have to spend more time thinking about that. Paula, this is a big thing for you too. I mean, you've got to, even your customers you're working with, this is one of those things you got to help them think about bigger picture focus as well. That's interesting.
That's true. Very true.
Yes.
Wow, I love it. Absolutely love it. So, from the one thing I thought I'd mention, and it's killer how quickly a half hour goes. On a tactical perspective, just for those who have not run a lot of email marketing campaigns, whenever I'm doing an email campaign myself, I'm going to test drive. I'll send 6 or 7 messages before we actually do the big blast. Paula, same thing for you guys. I mean, you were doing a number, when I've seen what you do, Paula, and your team, you're running a number of tests just to make sure it works on multiple platforms. What do you guys see over at Acton? What do you do to not only create your responsive emails, but how do you make sure it's good before you send?
Yeah, I think, we have an A/B testing optimization tool, so it's really easy. We really take the kind of technical guesswork out of it for you to be able to do a head-to-head test for different elements in an email. So it's a very simple process. You just set it up within the system, and basically what happens is about 20% of who you're going to send to, 10% gets version A of your email, and the other 10% gets version B. Whoever wins, that remaining 80% of your email goes to that top performing email. So it really, you don't have to rely on your gut feeling anymore of what you think is going to work. You really can test it out to a smaller populace of the audience and really make sure and kind of get that gut check to make sure that you are making the correct decisions.
Yeah, we actually did a joint, at an event, we did a joint survey or research, mini research report on marketers' ability to actually guess which emails would perform better. And lo and behold, marketers are horrible at guessing which emails are going to actually perform better. So, yeah, it's great to just be able to say for sure, this orange button is going to be better than green button. And I know this because I see it in the numbers.
Wow.
It's sort of like picking stocks.
Yeah. I still haven't gotten that one down. So.
I take any of us have, really. Except maybe Warren Buffett.
Oh yeah, he's done an amazing job. So I am always amazed at how quickly 30 minutes goes. This was a phenomenal session. I want to take a second just to thank the sponsor, Think Aha. Often these things, if you're watching, we will share this not just on YouTube and SlideShare, but we'll strip out the audio and put it on iTunes and the existing podcast channel. And I just thought I'd mention, we get 10 times more listens than we do watches, right? Because it's really the busy business professional who have signed into this channel. They either do it through iTunes or through the FIR network, which is Shellholtz and Neville Hodgson's network, and they just like the type of content that gets produced, which is great. Love to see that. We'll also do a couple blog posts, and for those that are interested in sharing this content socially, we'll also create an AHA book on the AHA Amplifier, which will be 140 quotes that will be featuring Paula and the topic of, is email marketing dead? And we know the answer is no. And so that'll come out in a month or so. It'll be an AHA book, and we'll make sure people are aware of that. Paula, based on the conversation and what's happened, is there something you want to add in terms of something we didn't ask, or something that makes sense to share at the end?
I think we covered some pretty good ground, actually.
All right, so if people are going to reach out to you at Outward Media, how the best way for people to reach you?
Email, paul@outwardmedia.com. I answer those faster than phone calls.
So Paula at Outward Media. Love it. You guys, based on the conversation, is there something that we should have added that we didn't, or a question or focus that we should have covered? Linda, Rachel, what do you think?
I think we covered quite a bit, but I would add one more thing, which is that we talked a lot about kind of technology today and creativity, but I just want to add that email as a discipline is half art and half science. So if you are an email marketer, or if you engage in email, do not be afraid to go and experiment and try and be creative and use both sides of your awesome marketing brain.
Yeah.
I second that.
Well said.
Yeah, that was really nice. It's a nice aha moment. I'll take a third on that. If if people want to reach out to you, how best should they connect?
I'm actually on Twitter, so you can get me at Miss Linda West, and I'm really good at responding. So any questions, reach out to me there at Miss Linda West on Twitter.
Same for me. I'm at Rosin_Rachel.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for coming. Mitchell Levy, Twitter I'm not happy about, but if you Google Mitchell Levy, I'm happy to connect to me on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I'm happy to connect. And I've got a good name there. You'll reach me, and I float to the top. I really love this episode. I think the fundamental tenets of what's relevant for thought leadership and success in today's world is absolutely what came through. And I have to spend more time, and you caused me this aha moment of really thinking about the changing nature of marketing and the marketing profession, and I love that. Anyhow, thank you. Thank all three of you. Paula, thanks for hosting and putting together these great guests. Appreciate you being part of Thought Leader Life, and we'll see you guys next time.
Rachel, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.